Every night at 7 p.m., the same boy appeared in the upstairs window, but the family swore no child lived there. That single sentence clung to Martha's mind like a cold hand around her heart. Martha Henderson, 62, retired elementary school teacher, sharp-eyed and stubborn-hearted, walked her old beagle, Jasper, down Maple Ridge Lane every evening. She had spent her entire career noticing the quiet kids, the ones who didn't raise their hands, who hid bruises behind forced smiles, who spoke only when they trusted. That gift, that sensitivity never left her, even in retirement. And that was why she noticed him. The first time she saw the boy, she thought nothing strange of it. The colonial-style house, blue shutters, white trim, tidy lawn, looked like the kind of place where children grew up, riding bikes and chasing fireflies. But the boy in the window wasn't playing. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't doing anything but staring. He looked about 10 years old, with a mop of dark hair and a face that carried something too heavy for childhood. He stood absolutely still behind the glass, watching, not waving, not blinking much, just watching. When Martha mentioned it aloud, Jasper gave a small grunt, almost as if he agreed it was odd. But the next night, at exactly 7 p.m., the boy was there again. And the next. And the next. Always the same stillness, the same sadness, the same window. Most people would have shrugged it off, but Martha couldn't. Curiosity sharpened into unease. Something about the boy reminded her of the quiet ones she used to teach, the ones who sat at recess alone, who stayed inside their heads because they were scared to step outside of them. One evening, Martha paused in the road and lifted a hand in a gentle wave. The boy didn't wave back, but his breath fogged the glass. His small fingers traced something, slowly, carefully, into the condensation. A curve, a line, a shape. But the breeze shifted, and the fog thinned before she could make it out. That night, she barely slept. The next day, she called out to him softly, "Are you all right?" Her voice, steady but warm, the voice she once used with frightened students. He didn't move. She walked on, but her heart stayed at that window. On the 7th night, something changed. The boy appeared as always, but this time, when he lifted his hand, Martha felt a jolt run through her chest. He wasn't waving. He was writing again on the fogged glass. 3 letters, clear, deliberate. SOS. Her breath hitched. Jasper whined, and the boy, his eyes filled with a kind of desperate hope, pressed his palm flat to the glass. That was it. Martha marched straight to the house. She rang the doorbell, once, twice, a third time. A middle-aged couple eventually opened the door, confused by the urgent knocking. "Please don't think I'm crazy," Martha said, voice trembling but determined. "But I've seen your son in the upstairs window every night. He's asking for help." The couple exchanged a look that struck her like ice. "We don't have children," the husband said slowly. Martha's heart hammered. "Sir, with absolute respect, there is a child in your home." The wife stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Ma'am, this house sat empty before we moved in. No one else has keys, and we've never seen what you're describing." Her tone wasn't defensive, it was frightened. Something in Martha's instincts, the same instincts that helped her spot silent suffering for 30 years, told her this couple was telling the truth. They weren't hiding anything. Something else was going on. She dialed 911. The police arrived quickly. 2 officers, calm, professional, and serious, took her report. Martha worried they might dismiss her as an over-imaginative retiree, but when she described the boy's face, the SOS, the stillness, they didn't laugh. Officer Ramirez, stern but kind-eyed, said, "Ma'am, Within an hour's drive, we have 3 active missing child cases. That made her knees weak. They searched the house, top to bottom. Living room, bedrooms, basement, closets. Nothing. Martha felt her confidence crumble until one officer called out from upstairs. "There's a pull cord here." In a hallway most people would never look twice at, a small string dangled from the ceiling. An attic. The ladder creaked as it unfolded. The officers climbed up, flashlights slicing through the darkness. Then came the words Martha would never forget. "We found something." They carried down a child-sized mattress, thin, worn, crayons scattered in a tin, a small bowl with cereal, the milk still wet, a blanket, a shoe, a small superhero sticker stuck to the floorboard. No boy, but signs of one. Fresh signs. The officers' faces hardened in realization. Someone had been keeping a child there. Recently, secretly, quietly. Officer Ramirez turned to the couple. "Did you know about this attic room?" The husband shook his head violently. "No, God, no." The wife cried. Martha's heart pounded painfully in her chest. Then Ramirez turned to her. "Ma'am, you said you saw the boy tonight at 7? "Yes, then he was here, less than an hour ago." The realization hit like a cold wind. He hadn't been watching her, he had been signaling her, and she had missed it. Her sharp eyes, her instincts, but she still hadn't gone soon enough. She felt guilt crash over her. But Officer Ramirez placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Ma'am, he's alive because you noticed at all." A bolo alert was issued. Nearby woods and roads were searched. Patrol cars spread out across the area. The officers believe the boy escaped, likely early that morning, through the small attic window in the back of the house. Maybe he'd been hiding, wandering, trying to get help. Hours passed. Finally, right before dawn, the call came. A boy was found sitting under a tree in the woods behind the neighborhood. Cold, hungry, but safe. He matched the description perfectly. Martha arrived at the park, breathless, heart hammering, as the officers guided her toward a bench. The boy sat there, wrapped in a blanket, sipping water. His tired eyes lifted toward her. Recognition sparkled. His lips trembled. "You saw me," he whispered. Tears blurred Martha's vision. "Yes," she breathed, "and I'm so sorry it took me so long." He shook his head weakly. "You came. Nobody else ever saw." Her heart broke, not from sadness, but from how incredibly strong he was. Even in his fear and loneliness, he had stayed intelligent, resourceful, sharp enough to signal SOS night after night. A survivor. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "Evan," he whispered. "Evan, you're safe now." He nodded and his small hand reached out, hesitantly at first, then with trust. Martha took it gently, her chest swelling with something fierce and protective. The officers explained that Evan had been missing for almost 3 weeks from a town 20 miles away. They suspected he had been moved house to house, hidden in plain sight. But he had escaped, and he had kept signaling. And Martha, strength in her heart, sharpness in her eye, compassion in her soul, had finally seen him. When Evan was reunited with his real family later that afternoon, Martha stood nearby, hand pressed over her mouth. His mother collapsed around him, crying into his hair, thanking every officer, every passing car, every breath of wind. Then Evan tugged free and ran to Martha. He wrapped his arms around her waist. "Thank you for not giving up," he whispered. She hugged him tightly, tears falling freely. "You were brave, Evan, braver than you should have ever had to be." He nodded into her shirt. "You saved me," he said. And Martha realized something important. Even in retirement, even without a classroom, she was still a teacher, a watcher, A protector, someone who noticed the quiet cries others missed. The story spread across the community. People called Martha a hero. The couple who unknowingly lived beneath that attic room sent her flowers and handwritten letters, apologizing for ever doubting her. Police publicly thanked her, but Martha didn't think of herself as a hero. She thought of Evan, of the intelligence he had shown by signaling SOS, of the sharp courage that kept him alive, of the strength he used to hold on until someone finally saw him. And she thought of the moral she hoped the world would remember. We save each other by paying attention, by noticing, by caring, by listening to the quiet things. Some cries for help have no sound at all, and sometimes all it takes is one person, one teacher, one neighbor, one stranger, to look up at the right window and refuse to look away. Evan healed, Martha healed, and Maple Ridge Lane never looked the same again. Because every time Martha passed that house with Jasper trotting at her side, she smiled, not with fear, not with sadness, but with hope. Because in the end, the boy in the window wasn't a ghost or a mystery. He was a child waiting to be seen, and someone finally saw him.